Hi everyone, Karen here with SSK Yarners Knitting Podcast. I'm back. I'm going to share some new things that are happening in my life and also a really great tip on how to stick to that stash busting. It's working really great for me so far for 2018 and hopefully it'll help you out as well. So let's see. Wow, how about this amazing snow on the East Coast? Now, if you have watched this podcast in the past, you know that I'm from Georgia, but I am no longer living in Georgia. So that is some new and exciting news for me and my husband. His job brought us up here. We are loving it so far. We moved in November. It was a very fast move. We weren't expecting to move that quick, but it went off without a hitch, and so far we are absolutely loving it up here. Now, Georgia doesn't get a lot of snow. Maybe every, 6-7 years we might get a couple of inches. And when we first moved here, they said the same thing. No, we don't get a lot of snow. Maybe every 7 to 10 years we might get a couple of inches. They do get quite a bit of ice here. But let me tell you, 2 snowstorms since we've moved here. 2. So the first one, just an inch, not that big of a deal, but I did get out the shovel anyway. My neighbors probably thought I was absolutely crazy. What is that woman out there shoveling with 1 inch of snow? But the snow lasted for, about over a week because it was so cold. So all day yesterday, I'm waiting and waiting. Oh my gosh, North Carolina's getting slammed with snow, but here over, south of Raleigh, we didn't get any. And then sure enough, right in the late afternoon around 4 o'clock, it started coming down and it didn't stop. I was so excited. And with the cold weather, I'm able to wear all my hats and my towels and things. But wow, it was just gorgeous out last night. So I had to get out there on the porch and just do a little knitting out there because it really was a winter wonderland. So my husband snapped a couple photos. Again, he said, you know what? Our neighbors are going to think we're crazy. Absolutely crazy. So, but I had a blast and it really was gorgeous. So, so hopefully, people on the East Coast, you're staying warm. The West Coast, hopefully you're staying dry. And everybody's having a really great January so far. Now, the last episode, I asked for prayers for Jeffrey. That's Sharon's son. Just overwhelmed with the support for Jeffrey, overwhelmed with all the people that are sending us messages, some private messages, also on YouTube and Ravelry, Instagram. So Sharon and Jeffrey were so overwhelmed by the graciousness of everyone out there sending well wishes and saying all those prayers for him. Prayers need to be continued. Jeffrey continues to need them. So what am I doing as far as knitting, crocheting, and all those yarny goodness? Well, we moved here. I had to pack up all of my yarn when we moved from Georgia to North Carolina. And let me tell you, I had boxes and boxes and boxes of yarn. So really, really too much. So my goal for 2018 is to really go through my yarn stash as well as my Ravelry library and all the books and all the magazines that I have, and that's what I've been doing. So the first thing I did was I made a hat, then I made a cowl, and now I'm making a cardigan. So here's a tip. If you are interested in really diving in your stash, if you do not have your yarn organized, I highly recommend organizing it by weight. That's what I did. I went from lace to fingering to DK weight to worsted weight all the way up to super bulky. Now lace I didn't have a lot of, fingering I had a lot of, and I knew I did. Not a whole lot of worsted weight, but enough. And I had a huge stash of super bulky of one color, so I'm going to make a really gorgeous blanket in the future. But what I didn't realize was I had an enormous amount of DK weight yarn and a lot of quantity of like a particular color, probably 6 or 7 different colors, a large quantity. So evidently when I started making garments, I found a really great place to buy some DK weight yarn. And actually I think it was Stitches South when I went one year. Organize that stash, divide it up by weight. The next thing I did when I realized I had so much DK weight yarn, I went to Ravelry and I literally searched DK weight, patterns, blah, 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 and sure enough, I had this amazing pattern in my library that I had purchased last year. So I went to my Ravelry library and I found a pattern. It's called the Blue Sand Cardigan. I bought it last year, fell in love with it, never made it. So I'm going to stick to my 2018 resolution right now. I went to my stash immediately when I found the pattern. Spring's coming up. This calls for a cotton yarn, which will be perfect for spring. Also can be worn in the fall. And I'm sure you can use other yarn, but I did have a lot of DK cotton. So I immediately went to my stash. Now, the first thing that I do when I want to substitute yarn is I go and I check the actual pattern. I see what yarn do they call for. This pattern calls for Rowan Pure Life Organic DK Cotton. Well, just from sorting all of my yarn, I knew immediately that I had some DK Organic, which I was so excited about. So I looked, I checked the Rowan, the one that the pattern calls for. It's 131 yards in a 50-gram ball. So really important to note, when you're looking to substitute, try to find a yarn with the exact same or very, very similar. So when I went back and I checked out this Debbie Bliss Eco Baby organic cotton yarn, in a 50-gram ball, it's 136 yards. So I knew right away that it was going to gauge. So I did. I gauged it out, worked perfectly. So let's show you what I've completed already. So I've been working on it for a few days now. Again, if you follow me on Instagram, SSK_yarners, I try to post pictures and keep everybody updated. I also do it on Facebook too, SSK Yarners on Facebook. So it's a top down. So this is the back. And then this is the front, and of course it's one piece. So you're already doing the shoulders and the sleeves. And I believe, if I read it correctly, you add on the whole entire band after you finish the garment. So I'm loving the knit so far. I love the colors. I'm almost done with this section, so I'll be taking off for the sleeves soon. So that's what's going on with me. So that's it. If you're in the Raleigh area, send me a message. I'm looking for doctors, hairdressers, dentists, everything. The only thing we found so far is a veterinarian. So and I'll share a little bit about why we needed a veterinarian so soon on the next episode. So that's it for today from SSK Yarners. Thanks for tuning in. If you like the episode, give me a thumbs up. Just to let me know. And if you're not a subscriber, just hit that subscribe button and you'll get notifications whenever I upload a new video. So thanks everybody, and thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all those prayers for Jeffrey, and keep them coming. All right, thanks everybody. Bye.